On the day the company finally went public, after 7 years of building the business, I found my husband, Nathan, at the celebration banquet with his scheming secretary, Ashley. That same night, I filed for divorce and scheduled an abortion for the next day. The scheming secretary, Ashley, cried until her eyes were red. Sophia, you've misunderstood. Mr. Nathan and I are truly innocent. I watched coldly as Nathan wiped away her tears and comforted her. If you want to be intimate, get out of my house and get a room. Don't sicken me. Nathan impatiently yelled at me, can you stop being so suspicious? Apologize to Ashley right now. I slipped off the matching silver rings from my finger and threw them at Ashley's face. Since you want this cheap thing so badly, it's all yours. One Sophia, Mr. Nathan's status is different now. How can you still be so disheveled? Ashley was supporting a drunken Nathan, looking at me with disdain as she helped him through the door like the lady of the house. When I reached out my hand, Ashley slapped it away as if I were in the way. I just let it go and nonchalantly appraised her with a look similar to her own. Your status isn't so ordinary either. In ancient times, you'd be considered a kept woman. Ashley shrieked, as if someone had stepped on her tail. Do you still think you're Mrs. Nathan? Mr. Nathan has been utterly fed up with you for ages. He's just pitying you now. She extended her right hand, and I froze at the sight of the familiar, oversized ring on her ring finger. 2 years ago, Nathan pointed to it and told me, I'll buy this when the company goes public. You'll be the most beautiful woman at the celebration banquet wearing it. The truth was, I didn't care about having a diamond ring or being the center of attention. Instead, it was Nathan's bright eyes, full of affection for me and dreams for the future, that left a lasting impression on me. Later, the company went public, the celebration banquet happened, the diamond ring was bought, only the hostess had changed. Although I was prepared for separation, a bitter ache still welled up inside me at that moment. Nathan, reeking of alcohol, seemed to be roused. When he opened his eyes, Ashley had already put on a fragile, delicate facade. She sobbed, tears streaming down her face, looking at me as if she had been greatly wronged. Sophia, I was just being kind, seeing that Mr. Nathan was drunk, and brought him home. How could you call me something as awful as a concubine? Hearing this, Nathan wearily pinched the bridge of his nose. Soph, why have you become so harsh now? Ashley genuinely meant well. Ashley, upon hearing him, leaned into Nathan, her chest exposed, while her eyes, darting my way, held a hidden smirk of triumph. Mr. Nathan, it's fine. As long as Sophia calms down, a few insults won't hurt me. Nathan patted Ashley's hand. You're the company's greatest contributor now. How can you endure such injustice? I'll make sure Soph apologizes to you. Watching them act so lovingly, I couldn't help but burst out laughing, applauding them. A match made in hell, what a perfect pair. I ticked off on my fingers, her kindness is truly boundless. This time, she came here flaunting the diamond ring you gave her. Last time, she left her underwear at my house. The time before that, she got drunk and you stayed with her all night. Before that, she whined for a $52,000 cash transfer for her birthday. And before that, the lipstick mark on your shirt. Sophia, that's enough, Nathan cut me off, clearly irritated, as if I had hit a nerve. If and I were going to have something, it would have happened already. Can't you trust me, even a little? How many times do I have to say it? Those were all business entertainments. She and I are just regular colleagues. You're really too sensitive now. Can't you learn to be as sensible as Ashley? If this continues, my mom will never accept you. I listened to his hollow explanations and sharp accusations, watching his face flushed with anger and the after-effects of alcohol. He was a stranger. It was as if the Nathan of the past 7 years had been nothing but an illusion in my mind. I gazed at him silently and said slowly, Nathan, you only remember the company going public. Can you still remember that today is our wedding anniversary? I had been so eager to share the good news tonight, that I was pregnant. But at this moment, I didn't want to use a child to force a failing marriage to continue. Nathan paused for a moment, then, with a hint of guilt in his eyes, quickly stepped forward to take my hand. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to forget. I was just so happy about the company going public today that feeling exhausted, I avoided his touch. You've given me too many excuses like that. I really don't want to hear them anymore. Nathan apologized sincerely, my tone was a bit harsh just now. I've been so overwhelmed with the company going public today. I didn't listen further, cutting straight to the point. Let's get a divorce. I'll give her the position of Mrs. Nathan. Let's go our separate ways. The drunkenness completely vanished from Nathan's eyes, and he said with a cold face, I've already stooped to coaxing you like this. What more are you making a fuss about? Do you want me to beg you? I looked directly at Nathan. His reaction only solidified my decision. Nathan, I can't be the sensible person you want, just like I can never satisfy your mom. So, separation is the best outcome. Unexpectedly, the joy and relief I'd anticipated weren't in Nathan's eyes. Instead, he looked bewildered. Ashley bounced out again at that moment. Sophia, there's a limit to what you can say in anger. Mr. Nathan works so hard out there. You shouldn't be so jealous and nitpicky anymore. Nathan's gaze at me once again turned to blame and disgust. I held myself back repeatedly, trying to speak gently. You have no say here. Please be quiet. Ashel. Y started sniffling again, and Nathan promptly abandoned me, busy wiping her tears and comforting her softly. I watched coldly, saying with genuine sincerity, if you want to be intimate, get out of my house and get a room. Don't sicken me. Nathan roared at me with extreme impatience, can you stop being so sharp? Ashley only has our best interests at heart. Apologize to her right now. Apologize to the scheming secretary? Dream on. I lowered my gaze, slipped off the old matching silver rings from my finger, and tossed them at Ashley's face, shrugging. Since you want this cheap thing so badly, it's all yours. With that, I picked up my packed suitcase and walked out the door. Nathan didn't stop me, perhaps hindered by Ashley, or maybe he thought I was just throwing a tantrum and would eventually return, docile and apologetic. But I no longer cared what he thought. I turned off my phone and headed straight for the hotel. At that moment, all I wanted was a good night's sleep. I was utterly exhausted from endless waiting and arguments. Lying on the hotel's soft, fluffy bed, I unexpectedly dreamed of my first meeting with Nathan, a memory long forgotten. Because my mother was seriously ill, my father was working 3 jobs alone and could no longer afford my university tuition. To earn more money for my family, I was foolishly tricked into working as a bar hostess at the club. It wasn't until after I'd been forced to drink 6 or 7 bottles of alcohol that I realized something was wrong. I tried to leave, but a customer grabbed me tightly. Many hands reached out at once. I was terrified and started crying, but that only drew more laughter from them. It was then that Ethan appeared, an unlit cigarette dangling from his lips, loosely shielding me in his arms. Stop harassing the girl. Order as much alcohol as you want, this round is on me as an apology. The people around us started jeering. Ethan is as chivalrous as ever. Even though I was on the verge of blacking out, I still felt that his voice and appearance, under the dim, hazy lights, were particularly enchanting. The next day, I woke up groggily in an unfamiliar hotel bed. The room was empty, and my clothes were intact. Only a note and a bank card were on the nightstand. Yesterday, I accidentally answered a call from your father and learned that your family urgently needs money. There's $500,000 in the bank card on the nightstand, the password is on the back. I hope it helps with your immediate needs. No need to repay it. If fate wills it, we'll meet again. I tremblingly read the note over and over again, finally bursting into uncontrollable sobs. At that time, $500,000 was nothing short of a lifesaver for me. With that money, we could afford the best medication, and my mother's passing wasn't too painful in the end. Later, I got into a prestigious local university. While working part-time to support myself, I also inquired about the Nathan family's situation. I always hoped to see Nathan again. Heaven truly favored me then. During a school basketball game, I was volunteering, handing out water to players, when I happened to look up and met Nathan's gaze. Even though the club's lighting had been dim, I knew the person in front of me was him, but had already forgotten me. He gave me a shy smile before rejoining his team. I clutched my pounding heart, silently repeating the number and name on his back over and over. Nathan. So your name is Nathan. That was the first time I felt the thrill of a secret crush. While I was still processing the joy of finding my benefactor, Nathan jogged to catch up with me. The young man's eyes were spirited, his features sharp, with fine sweat on his forehead and wisps of hair turning a light gold in the sunlight, the vibrant evening glow serving as his backdrop. Nathan was very nervous, unconsciously gripping his water bottle, and stammered with a blush. Hi, I'm Nathan. Can I add you as a friend? I was so happy I was almost in tears. After a flustered nod, I smiled and said, Hi, I'm Sophia. It's a pleasure to meet you again. After that, we naturally became a couple. After we officially started dating, I worked even harder, juggling part-time jobs and internships while consistently ranking first in all my courses. But even with such achievements, I still wasn't considered good enough for the Nathan family. Eleanor even dug up the fact that I had worked as a bar hostess, and she would seize every opportunity to curse and disparage me in front of Nathan. Each time, Nathan would get furious, even to the point of threatening to cut ties with his family, vowing to make a name for himself without their help. The privileged Nathan family's young master, already drunk on graduation day, slipped a cantab onto my ring finger. Soph, no matter what they say, you're the best in my eyes. Once the company is on track, I'll buy you so many beautiful clothes. All the money I earn will be for you. Soph, will you marry me? Yes, I will, always. I said, my eyes red from crying, and slipped a bank card into Nathan's hand. This has 700,000 saved from my frugal living. Consider it my dowry. Nathan promised repeatedly he would never let me down. That night, the stars were bright, and so were Nathan's tears. I held him, sobbing uncontrollably. Fool, this was your money to begin with. After waking, I remained in a daze for a long time. The happiness of that moment sustained me through countless glasses of strong liquor, revisions of endless proposals, and meals of instant noodles. Later, it kept me going as I listened to Nathan's lies, endured Ashley's deliberate provocations, and survived one cold night of suspicion after another. Perhaps the path was simply too long, and he too captivating. It wasn't surprising that we lost each other along the way. Once in a dead end, it's better to cut your losses quickly. I just didn't expect to run into Nathan and Ashley on the day. Why I went to the hospital for the abortion. The hospital lines were ridiculously long, as always. Seeing that I had some time, I found a bench to sit down and rest before joining the queue. I'd been experiencing severe morning sickness lately, and now my stomach was aching faintly. Although I truly didn't plan to keep this child, I could feel the fetus growing little by little, eagerly anticipating its arrival into the world. As I sat there, lost in thought, clutching my lower abdomen, I heard Ashley's sugary voice. Eleanor, isn't that Sophia? I turned my head to see Ashley supporting the elegant and aristocratic Eleanor, both glaring at me from a few steps away. In the past, I might have stood up, politely greeted Eleanor, and inquired about her well-being. But since I was divorcing Nathan, what did I have to fear? So I turned my head back, pretending not to see them. Sophia is simply too unfilial. She doesn't even bother to ask about your illness, showing not a shred of what a daughter-in-law should be like. Eleanor strode over, grabbing my arm, and said scornfully, Ashley told me you caused a scene again yesterday. You truly have no upbringing, completely unaware of how hard Nathan works outside. Ashley is much better, well-educated and sensible, growing up as childhood sweethearts. Not like those low-class hussies, with such disgusting manners. In the past, I would have pretended not to hear even harsher words and just endured them. But now, I refused to be submissive any longer. I forcefully pulled free from Eleanor's grip, causing her to stumble. Whether he's truly struggling or enjoying himself out there, I don't care. As for my upbringing, you don't need to meddle. You should worry about how many years you have left to live. Nathan rushed over with a stack of payment slips, just in time to hear my last remark. His face instantly darkened. Sophia, how dare you speak to my mom like that? What kind of attitude is that? Ashley was still adding fuel to fire. Nathan, Sophia just threw a huge fit. What if she made Eleanor sick? I scoffed inwardly. Just a few days ago, she called him Mr. Nathan, now he was Nathan. Nathan came over to take my hand, saying grandly, Soph, I know you've been overthinking things lately. I'll make it up to you properly when we get back. My mom isn't feeling well today, so you should apologize to her first. Even now, he still thought I was just making a minor fuss, being petty and jealous. He was convinced that if he intervened, I would inevitably back down and apologize to them. Not a single word of concern, like why are you at the hospital? Are you sick? Yet he dared to be so arrogant? My anger surged at his words. I violently flung his hand away and loudly, recklessly declared, apologize? Apologize to hell. Nathan, I told you I want a divorce. Are you deaf, or do you just not understand human words? I had never spoken to Nathan with such a harsh tone. He froze, and when he spoke again, his voice held a hint of pleading. Soph, are you still angry? You've never been this upset before. From now on, I promise to cut down on social engagements, check in with you every day, and come home to be with you no matter how late it is, okay? You've kept your phone off these past few days. I was so worried about you, and I sent you so many messages. I even bought you a diamond necklace to make amends. Did you see the photo? I didn't intentionally not take you to the celebration banquet. You haven't been well, and I didn't want you to overexert yourself. If you're really so uncomfortable, I'll take you to the company tomorrow and introduce you as the boss's wife to all the employees, okay? See? It wasn't that he didn't understand what I wanted, he was just always stingy with it. I watched Nathan's flustered explanations with a cold gaze. What if I want you to fire Ashley? Ashley, weak and tearful, said, if my leaving would make Sophia feel at ease, then I'll resign. Nathan opened his mouth, tugged at my sleeve, and said awkwardly, Ashley is Mr. Fong, Ashley's father's daughter. Working as a secretary is already beneath her. Soph, do you really want to make such a scene over these trivial matters? Beneath her? Trivial matters? I could only find it amusing. Do you remember that back then, I also turned down offers from major corporations, dedicating myself entirely to building this business with you? I pitied Nathan because he had never experienced hardship. I took on all the dirty work of renovation, the difficult tasks, and the constant socializing with clients, including accompanying them for drinks. In the past 2 years, my stomach issues had worsened, making me sick every now and then. I still remember how much Nathan pitied me back then, begging me to rest at home, but stammered, unable to speak, and in a flash, he had forgotten all the years we had struggled through together. Eleanor said unpleasantly, the business you speak of was nothing more than drinking with clients. You're just a bar hostess, and only my naive son would be so completely fooled by someone like you. They boasted of being a prestigious family, emphasizing being well-matched in social standing, yet their insults were vulgar and incredibly harsh. Fed up with Eleanor's bitterness, I said sarcastically, right. Without the client's eye, a bar hostess, brought in, your precious son's company might not have even gone public. You uncultured thing, I'm going to teach you a lesson today. Eleanor, who doted on her precious son, rushed forward, pointing her finger at my nose and cursing, even attempting to slap me. Just as I was about to step back, Ashley grabbed my hand, and at the same time, her face came closer. Her eyes were incredibly malicious as she stared at me, yet her voice was sickly sweet as she cried, oh no, Sophia, how could you hit someone? Nathan quickly stepped in to separate Ashley and me. Mindful of the baby, I released my hand, not wanting to get entangled further, but held on tightly, refusing to let go, and screamed loudly. Amidst the pushing and shoving, I was unexpectedly flung forcefully to the ground by Nathan. A piercing pain instantly made my vision go black, and I lay trembling on the ground. In a haze, I felt someone pick me up and call out softly, Sophia, don't cry. Was I crying? My lower abdomen throbbed, aching so much I couldn't think. I whispered, my baby. Save my baby. Even though I was utterly disappointed in Nathan, this child was innocent. At least, I hoped he wouldn't leave me in such a tragic way. The person holding me stiffened, then took larger strides. I heard him give rapid instructions. First, find a clean private room nearby. Then, go find Dr. Miller, he's the best in gynecology. Tell to get over here. What's he doing standing there like a block of wood? He wasn't Nathan? Enduring the pain, I forced my eyes open. Under the glaring white lights, the face of the person before me slowly merged with that of the young master from the club that night. I raised my hand and tightly clutched the person's sleeve, as if doing so would give me more strength. My voice was broken, my eyes blurred with tears. We've met before, haven't we? Who are you? The person looked down at me, his voice still holding that enchanting quality from before. Nathan's cousin, Ethan. The last sentence was very soft, but I still heard it clearly. Sure enough, you and I are connected by fate after all. The next day, when I woke up, all I saw was a tiny fetus. I calmly accepted the reality, but I became much quieter. Ethan seemed worried I might do something foolish, so he stayed by my side almost every step of the way these past few days. Nathan also visited often, bringing expensive supplements and jewelry every day, but I refused them every single time. These past few days, I often found myself staring blankly at Ethan's profile. You and Nathan really look alike. Ethan leaned against the balcony, lazily soaking up the sun. We're cousins, of course we look alike. It's just that Nathan has a more scholarly air, appearing as refined as jade, while Ethan's charm is more pronounced, casual, and carefree like the wind. I continued staring and asked again, have we met before? Ethan closed his laptop, a half-smile playing on his lips. You ungrateful little thing, figure it out yourself. I already had the answer in my heart. But I simply couldn't accept the fact that I might have mistaken my benefactor. Nathan never mentioned you to me. I always thought he was the only male heir in the Nathan family of his generation. Ethan smiled, his features beautiful in the light. The main branch of the family immigrated long ago, and I wasn't close to him growing up. After hearing that, I sighed again, feeling utterly distressed. I asked the nurse to help me go downstairs for a change of scenery. Unfortunately, as soon as I got downstairs, I saw Ashley from afar, tearfully stopping Nathan. Her red-rimmed eyes made her look quite delicate. Nathan gently ruffled her hair, comforting her, "Don't overthink it. The problem was between Soph and me. It's not your fault the baby is gone." I pointed at them from a distance and explained to the nurse, "One's a heartless man, a master of feigning ignorance. The other's an actress, a master of pretense." As I listened to him speaking softly to Ashley, and thought of the baby I had lost, a complex mix of emotions surged within me. Nathan noticed me and immediately left Ashley, rushing toward me. "Soph, are you feeling okay? I've been so worried not seeing you these past few days." The nurse quickly stepped between us, sternly saying, "Sir, please step back." I saw Ashley had followed, and she looked as if she wanted to skin me alive, fearing I'd lure Nathan away. I turned my gaze back and said indifferently, "Actually, on our anniversary, I waited all day with a heart full of joy, imagining your expression when you saw the pregnancy test. But you came back after midnight, drunk and with Ashley." Ashley said hypocritically, "But such a big thing as your pregnancy, how could you not tell Nathan? If you had told him earlier, none of this would have happened." Nathan cautiously watched my expression. "Yes, if you had told me from the start, the baby could have been saved." I was almost laughing from anger. I stared at his handsome features, holding back again and again to keep myself from cursing him out. "Actually, that day, you had a hickey on your neck, and I no longer care to guess whether you were conscious when it was put there." Nathan's face was pale, and he said frantically, I really don't know. When? But I truly didn't do anything with Ashley." Ashley also looked wronged. "Sophia, don't blame everything on me. You might have seen it wrong." He held my hand tightly, vowing his loyalty. "Soph, believe me. Nathan used to hold my hand like this when he was being affectionate. But I wasn't falling for that anymore." With a tone of unprecedented revulsion, I said coldly, "It's not just when something actually happens between you and her that it's called cheating. When you knowingly act intimately with Ashley, despite knowing how I feel, that's already a betrayal." I gently touched my lower abdomen, exhaling softly. Perhaps the baby also knew my pain and struggle, and so it made its own decision. Nathan swayed, his eyes red. "I want to make it up to you, sophomore. Please, give me another chance." It was too late to think about patching things up now. I repeated, "I don't love you anymore, and I won't live with you again. Please sign the divorce agreement and mail it to me as soon as possible." Nathan finally shed tears, crying uncontrollably. "But I can't live without you. I'll fire Ashley right now. No one compares to you. Please don't leave me." I stepped past him, looked at the pale-faced Ashley, smiled faintly, and forcefully shook off Nathan's hand. "From now on, let's part ways amicably. Don't bother me again." After saying that, I turned around and saw Ethan smiling brightly not far away, casually leaning against a pillar, an unlit cigarette in his mouth. He followed me all the way to my hospital room, slyly suggesting, "How about I send someone to beat them up, just to let you vent a little more?" Seeing his eagerness, I smiled and dismissed the idea. I've made myself perfectly clear to him. No need to go to any more trouble. Nathan was a thing of the past in my mind, but I still hadn't repaid my true benefactor, who was right in front of me. I looked directly into Ethan's eyes and thanked him sincerely. "Including the $500,000 you gave me back then, and this time, you've saved my life twice. Anything you need from me, just say the word." Ethan idly tossed an apple, casually looking for a knife to peel it. He even spared a moment to glance at me, looking aggrieved. "I thought you had completely forgotten about me." Remembering that I had mistakenly thanked Nathan as my benefactor for so many years, I felt sick to my stomach, as if I'd swallowed a fly. I sighed softly again. I could only blame my own haste back then. Back then, Ethan was already effortlessly capable of getting me out of that situation, and he gave $500,000 without a second thought. Meanwhile, when Nathan first met me, he could barely stammer out a coherent sentence. When he started his business, his funding was cut, and he had no savings whatsoever. I thought for a moment, then seriously calculated my savings. "The original $500,000, should I triple it for you?" Ethan handed me a sliced apple, then turned to peel another. "That's not urgent. You should focus on recovering first." The apple was sweet, and eating it significantly improved my mood. "Lend me your laptop. I want to send out some resumes and earn more money to repay you." The words were out before I realized my mistake. A work laptop could contain God knows how much confidential information. How could I just borrow it from someone? Even when Nathan and I were at our closest, we kept our laptops separate. Before I could retract my offer, Ethan nodded towards me. Go ahead and take it. There's no password. I paused, surprised. Ethan then got up, munching on his apple, and tucked the laptop into my arms. Here. But don't push yourself too hard. I'm not in a hurry to collect. I smiled gratefully and began adding my achievements from helping Nathan start his business to my resume, sending it to several major corporations. However, until the day I was discharged, not a single company replied to my applications. All of them went unanswered. After subtly inquiring with a few long-standing clients, I learned that not only had the Nathan family intervened, but the Fong family had also subtly spread rumors, demeaning me as completely worthless and claiming I only climbed the ranks by relying on men. Whose doing it was clear at a glance. I refused to endure even an ounce of disrespect now. I immediately called Nathan and lashed out at him. Whether this was your idea, your mom's, or Ashley's, it doesn't matter. If you think keeping me from finding a job and cutting off my financial resources will make me compromise, I'm telling you, Nathan, don't you dare dream of it. Even if I have to beg or starve to death, I'll never look back at you. He was stunned by my intensity, remaining silent for a long time before muttering, I've already fired Ashley. Can't we? I was extremely impatient. How many times do I have to tell you? There's no future for us. Since you decided to give up on me from the start, then don't choose me in any future decisions. Nathan seemed to deflate. His voice dropped as he pleaded, can we just meet one last time? Come to the company, and I'll give you the divorce papers. I immediately set off downstairs, not wanting to waste another moment. I didn't want to get mixed up with these rotten people any longer. But when I arrived at Nathan's Co. building, I was stopped at the entrance by a new receptionist because I didn't have an appointment. I had no choice but to sit in the lobby, bored, waiting for Nathan to come down and get me. Sophia, what are you doing here? The sharp question made my head ache. I turned around, and sure enough, it was Ashley, carrying an insulated bag. I continued playing the matching puzzle game on my phone, lowering my head again. I'm here to pick up the divorce papers. The receptionists were friendly with Ashley, calling her boss's wife with every other breath, eagerly bringing her a fan, warm water, a soft chair, and a fruit platter. Ashley said haughtily, couldn't he just mail it? It seems you're still pining for Nathan, aren't you? Before I could speak, she proudly puffed out her stomach. I'm pregnant, and it's Nathan's. My fingertips paused. I recalled Nathan's clingy tone on the phone earlier, as if he still harbored feelings for me. And as I've already fired Ashley, it was clearly just because she was pregnant and he didn't want her getting jostled at work. I also calculated their timeline. They must have gotten together around the time of my abortion. I felt nauseous and wanted to vomit. Seeing my silence, Ashley scoffed, I'm warning you, you'll never enter the Nathan family's doors in this lifetime. Don't think about clinging on. I paused my game and, for the first time, truly looked at Ashley, saying softly, actually, I never really thought much of you before. Ashley's face hardened, about to retort, but I spoke before she could. Your family background is so much better than mine, and you graduated from a prestigious university. When you cry, your face is so pitifully beautiful, no less striking than a celebrity's. I had to admit, Ashley truly had looks, education, and cunning, a quintessential wealthy and privileged woman. I rested my chin on my hand and genuinely asked, Nathan certainly has some talent, but among his capable peers, he's not particularly outstanding. He's too indecisive in romantic matters and too ambiguous about boundaries between men and women. What exactly did you see in him? Ashley said, bewildered, he and I are childhood sweethearts, we grew up together, and, by the end, Ashley couldn't articulate anything else. She stood there, frowning in thought for a long time. After a long while, she hesitantly said, Eleanor said that Nathan's fiancé was always supposed to be me, and you stole him away. It was always mine, so what's wrong with taking it back? Ashley had always been competitive and never liked to lose. The more I struggled, the more I wanted to fight for it. I smiled and said, if he were a reliable and responsible man, and you took him, I might even say you were simply better than me. But you've lowered yourself with so many petty tactics, and you'll probably spend your entire life suspicious. I don't think it's worth it to go to such lengths. Ashley stared at me for a moment, then said softly, I understand what you mean. Let me think about it carefully. She glanced at the thermos in her arms and casually placed it in mine. I suddenly don't want to give these dumplings to Nathan anymore. My cooking isn't bad, try them if you have time. With that, she left in a hurry. No sooner had she left than Nathan arrived, his face bruised and swollen. Ethan followed casually behind Nathan. Nathan hurriedly set down the divorce papers, choking out, Soph, I'm sorry. I failed you. I neither confirmed nor denied it. I've moved on. You should too. Nathan covered his face in defeat, just about to cry, when Ethan stood stiffly beside me, his face cold. I asked, suspicious, did you do that? Ethan turned his face away, clearly in a huff about something. He ran into something himself. His cousin had taken his identity, stolen his woman, and even now hesitated to let go. So he had no choice but to go there himself and thoroughly clarify things with Nathan. If hadn't mistaken he wrong person, would Nathan really think his charm was so great that she'd tolerate anything? It was all because of the seeds he had sown back then, yet the fruits weren't ripening for him, allowing Nathan to waste her time. How could Ethan not be angry? Ethan only regretted not throwing a few more punches. Unaware of any of this, I carefully put away the agreement, set a time with Nathan to go to the courthouse, and walked out cheerfully. Ethan continued to casually follow me, saying as if it were an afterthought, Sophia, I have an overseas business venture, and it needs a project manager. I turned my head to look at him, staring until he lost his usual swagger, becoming uncharacteristically flustered. Standing in the light, I finally smiled. Then let's try it together. Epilogue. Years later, I inexplicably received Ashley's wedding invitation. I was puzzled. I didn't give her my address, did I? How did she send it? Ethan leaned his head on my shoulder, glancing at the groom's name. Her taste has improved significantly since she broke up with Nathan. I know this groom, he's more decent than Nathan. For a year now, I don't know how many times I'd heard him subtly and not so subtly disparage Nathan. I tugged at Ethan's cheek. We agreed not to mention him. $100 fine for being jealous. Ethan nuzzled my neck, speculating, he still doesn't have a new girlfriend. Could he be waiting for you? I let him move around. $200 fine. Fine. Ethan leaned in, saying cheerfully, anyway, I'm not letting you go back to China. Let him be a forlorn figure waiting for someone who will never return. Me? $300 fine. Pay up. One more kiss, and I'll give you 500. Deal. Sophia and Ethan lived a life of carefree abandon from then on. As for Nathan? Thanks for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section, so feel free to share your opinions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. See you next time.